Welcome to Elwood City Pulse. My name is Pamela Payne, and I'm here with Mayor Ron Arnold and Chief of Police Sam Hanna. Gentlemen, thank you for talking with me today.
Hi Pam, good to see you again.
I heard you have a reserve program. Can you please explain to me what that is?
We do. I'll let Chief Hanna explain. This has been one of his passions since becoming chief, is to build this reserve program, and it's had quite a bit of success with it, Pam. So
I started my career in law enforcement with Madison County Sheriff's Department as a reserve back in the early 70s. And when I took this job on as chief, I was wanting to build the reserve program here because it doesn't take the place of police officers, it just adds to them. We, right now, by ordinance, can have 10 reserves, and I'm working on trying to get more than that. But what we do is, for instance, by contract, when I have 2 officers on the road, they're both merit officers, if one of those 2 arrests someone, then someone, because we don't have a dispatcher anymore, will have to transport someone to jail. So that means I'd have to call an officer in off duty and pay him overtime to either make the transport or help run traffic while other officers make the transport. So what we do now is call in a reserve, and they would do the transport. They're volunteering their time, get reserve hours in, so therefore I'm not paying any overtime. We train them. They're trained as any law enforcement officer is, other than the academy. They have the pre-basic. We have a reserve program where they are trained in all areas. So eventually, when they're released, they can actually go out and take calls on their own, and maybe not be that second officer out, but the third or fourth officer out on the street to give more protection to the people of Elwood.
I think one thing to really hone in on that the chief said, Pam, is for the taxpayers and the citizens of Elwood, this is a major cost savings to the police department budget and the general fund budget that your property taxes pay for. Whenever we're able to save overtime dollars, extra manpower, this reserve program is very beneficial. Helped save many thousands of dollars last year in overtime dollars and program dollars that the department didn't have to pay, and which was part of one of the pieces of the overall budget that allowed us to hold on to 7% of the overall general fund budget. We grew our surplus last year pretty substantially, so this was one of the components that allowed us to do that.
John Davis, one of our reserves, last year alone, worked hundreds of hours. I know one night I got called out on a situation, came up to Elwood, and John that night had made 3 transports of people we had arrested. And that means that's time he takes away from his family, unslept hours that he doesn't get because he's up here, so then he has to work his job the next day, but it's what he wants to give to the city. Merrill Taylor and Albert McPherson, they do neighborhood watch. They work with senior citizens as reserves, and they've been saving our officers a lot of time by doing our funeral escorts. Because again, if you only have 2 officers working, you have someone go do a funeral escort because they call all the time. That leaves 1 officer to take calls.
Well, here recently, Chief, I know one of the most visible things for the reserves has been when the water line broke on Main Street, and you have to have police officers blocking off a major state highway. We were able to use 2 reserve officers to do that and not pull those 2 officers that are on the streets off. They're patrolling the rest of the city, and so 2 reserve officers are able to block that off and do that. The city doesn't pay overtime or additional hours, and we're still keeping the citizens safe.
And again, when we do some city work like fixing the lights along Anderson Street, my reserve officers will follow the workers, sit there with the red lights on to protect these workers while they're going up and down the lift, doing the work to slow traffic down. I mean, they've done a lot of work to assist the police department. We're not wanting to take anybody's overtime hours away, but yet we're trying to save money, save lives, and put as many people on the street as we can.
Now, I know there's something in town, you guys have a bike patrol.
Yes.
Can you give me a little bit of information on the bike patrol and the downtown patrol?
The bike patrol started a long time before I came here, but there's down to only one man now doing it, and that's Jamie, who's my captain on midnights. And we've talked to Jamie, we've gotten him a new uniform, we're refurbishing the bicycles, and we're going to try to build by at least 2 more officers so as to ride the downtown, ride the park areas, just show a different visibility, a different part of the police department. Surprise factor, people won't expect to see policemen riding up on bicycles. And it's a passion of Jamie's to do this. He loves the program, and again, it's not just something we stick them on a bicycle and say have a nice time. We send them to training. There's special schools for it to make sure that we do things right.
Well, especially patrolling, as the chief mentioned, our parks. You're able to get to, if there's a child in distress, you're able to get to them more quickly on the bicycle in areas where a car's not going to be able to go. You're able to weave through traffic and through pedestrians more safely. It's something I'm very excited about, seeing expanded, more officers on bikes, especially in our downtown and our park system. So looking forward to that. Hope that when the citizens see those officers out on the bikes, that they understand, as the chief mentioned, they're not just riding a bicycle around, but they're actually trained on that. There's special maneuvers, special procedures that are used for officers that are on bicycles. So, and with $4 a gallon gas, there's a budget factor to that too. So you're able to ride a bicycle, patrol differently, and save on fuel and maintenance of vehicles. That's good news to the citizens of Elwood as well.
Now, I heard there's a program called Cans for Canines, and there's a new dog.
Yes.
Can you please?
It was my vision, after all the incidences in Madison County in Indiana where dogs have played a big factor in policing, to get a third dog. I mean, we are the mass capital of the world, they say, and drugs in general, and so I want another multi-purpose dog, and I've just purchased my 3rd one, so I have one on each shift. But it costs money. I mean, we have to buy the dog, we have to keep it fed, we have medical bills. So we do Cans for Canine to cash the cans in, put the money back in a special fund. So if a dog needs a shot, so if the dog gets ill, or if we need to buy dog food, maybe put a kennel up or put a new kennel in one of the cars to travel in, we have money to buy this, because the cages, and I say cage just to describe it, but the dog rides in all for a shift, costs a lot of money. It's not just $40 or $50, we're talking hundreds of dollars. Mm-hmm. So now I'm going to, because I got a 3rd dog, I'm going to have to get another cage for a 3rd car. But it costs money, so the cans is an easy way to do it. It's not burdening people by saying, well, can you give me a $100 donation? Mm-hmm. If someone saves their cans for a month and brings them in, that cashes into pretty good money.
Where would you like for them to bring the cans to?
We have a big dumpster back behind the jail that we've been collecting in this whole process, and we're getting ready to empty our 2nd one and hopefully fill a 3rd one.
Now, there was some information brought to my attention about a shooting range here in Elwood.
Yes. Again, I get these visions. You know, when I worked for the county, and myself being involved in a shooting back in '78, I could always say I was well trained. Mm-hmm. We were qualified monthly, whether it be stress shooting, a night shoot, or just a regular 60-shot course. I was well trained. I kind of joked a while back when I retired from the Sheriff's Department. I was reserved down in Pendleton for a year. The day I went out to qualify, it was cold, snowy, blizzardy, but they wanted to get me qualified for a detail I was going to do. So he says, here's the target you're qualified on, here's one to practice on. I looked at it, we're not going to practice. I just shot, qualified, not a problem, because I was trained. Mm-hmm. So what I want our guys to do is I want them to have access to a range for several reasons. One, it's right here in town. So you're not having to have an officer drive to Moonsville to qualify. So again, we're saving mileage. Second of all, we can do a night shoot, stress shoot, or a regular course shoot monthly. And we have a thing that's called a pre-basic course, that when someone either comes on as a police officer or as a reserve officer, he has to go through qualifications. So instead of I'm sending 2 guys to firearms school. That way, when we can be self-sustaining, I won't have to ask Alexander to come qualify my people, or a couple of county guys to qualify my people. We can just go down the street, qualify our officers, and be good to go. And then there's a mandate that every year we have to have up to 26 hours of training by law. And part of that training, again, is we have to qualify so many hours a year. So again, we just set up a date, we'll be at the range, we will shoot, instead of having to work ourselves around Alexander's schedule, or can we get the county range, are they busy, or they got something they're doing. Each car in the city also carries a rifle. And so we will do rifle qualifications, setting the range up. There'll be at least one lane of shooting that we can do our rifle qualifications. We can do shotgun qualifications, again at our leisure, not the leisure of someone else.
And this is for police department only? This
Police
is not
only.
public?
Public won't be using it because we have a liability problem there. We would do it just as a training facility and to keep our mandates up for the police department.
And Pam, if I could, I would encourage residents, if you don't know about our conservation club in Elwood, please check that out. It's a wonderful facility. They have a shooting range, they have firearm safety courses, great organization. I know growing up my father was very involved in the conservation club. This range in no way is meant to replace or compete with or anything with what the work that the conservation club does in firearm education and training for the community. Also, Chief, let's note to the public that this fire range was, most of the work and materials were all donated by White's Construction, who was involved in the wind farm project. And so they came in and brought the materials, built it, have done the vast majority of building this range. So this was all done with donated labor and materials, and again, didn't cost the taxpayer, but will save the taxpayers of the city money in training dollars, travel dollars,
and
for the force.
And maybe an eventual lawsuit. You know, we can, because again, the thing that prevents liability is good training.
Now, I know we said we were going to do a subject on asking you questions and
Yes.
to answer. One of the questions that we read online had to do with a shelter house for the animals.
Yes.
They wanted to know if it was going to be built, where it would be built, and who would be running it.
Who would be paying for it?
And who would be paying for it.
It's always a question. That's always part of the question. And a great question. I'm glad whoever asked that. Thank you for logging on to elwoodindiana.org and asking this question. We're very excited. At the Mayor's Ball, we announced we were going to build a new humane shelter. And at the last park board meeting, the park board approved the site that we had hoped that we could build it. It's going to be built on what we're calling the North 14th Street Park, which if you grew up in Elwood, you remember where our Little League baseball field used to be, by the water tower, just west of Wilkie Park. And Wilkie Park is located on North Anderson Street by that water tower. And if you go across the footbridge of Wilkie Park, then you're going over to 14th Street, and there's a park area there. And there's a remnant of a ball field and a concession stand building that still sits there. And behind that's some playground equipment. And the park really is pretty unsightly. There's blight there in the area. And so we selected that area. The park board approved us using that facility. And so we're going to enhance the park. and not only build the humane shelter there, but also move the playground equipment around, keep it in that area. But I've been talking to Brandon Melvin at the YMCA, and we're in beginning conversations about maybe utilizing that former ball field as a soccer field and bringing kids and families back to that area, not only for animals, but for park play and recreation. So who's paying for it? The seed money to get this shelter started was part of our capital bond project. We went through a bonding issue the fall of last year. And how we did that was we basically refinanced the municipal building. Rates were much lower, and it's much like you would do your home. If you have I'll just pick numbers, if you have a 5% mortgage interest rate on your mortgage and rates are now 1%, probably behooves you to refinance and save 4% on interest rate. Much what we did with the municipal complex here. We were able to refinance it, save a lot of money in what we call debt service or debt payment. So basically we lowered our house payment. And we got an interest rate of 1.5% when we refinanced. So an unheard of rate. Saved a lot of money. We're paying less money than we were originally. And that gave us some capacity to take basically some home equity out. Much like you do if you need a new roof on your house and you get a home equity. We were able to take nearly $1 million in equity. It's $950,000. And that is only used for what we call capital expenditures or investment in infrastructure in our city. And so part of that, we earmarked $40,000 to get this project off the ground. Now the facility itself will cost right around $100,000 to build the building and to get it up and going. And so we're kicking off a capital campaign where we're going to raise $75,000 to pay for this building. So the seed money came from part of the bond proceeds, where we'll get this kicked off. But the bulk of it, more than nearly 3/4 of this, is all going to be from donations and fundraising and the community supporting it. We raised over $81,000 on our pool project last year from the community. I have no doubt, knowing the need that we have and the support that we have from individuals that know we need to do something better by our animals, that we are going to exceed this goal. So the bulk of it's paid for by donations and fundraising, and the city will, the chief talked about liability. We have some liabilities in the way we care for our animals currently. We're going to change that. And we're not just going to have a dog pound. This isn't just a place to dump an unwanted pet. This is a humane shelter. It's going to look attractive. It's going to enhance the area that we're building it in. It's going to be part of a park, so it's going to look nice. It's going to be something families and pet lovers want to come to. We've already got a wonderful committee that's being chaired by Matt Spivey and Marty Bevington that own Two Guys Pet Boutique here in town. They are the chairs of the committee for this project. And we've got a wonderful list of committee members already, but I would encourage anyone who's interested in volunteering, helping out, you have any passion for animals at all, please see Matt and Marty at Two Guys Pet Boutique here in Elwood. They will sign you up, get you plugged in, and we're going to have lots of fun this year, raising money, raising awareness of how we need to take better care of our animals. And again, we talked about quality of life at the Mayor's Ball and how that would be our focus this year. And so this is a perfect fit to quality of life. We are merging a park, recreation, and humane care of animals all in one area, and it's going to be exciting to watch it come together. We've got a little dog park planned where people can come walk their dogs in a fenced area. We've got a walking trail planned around the entire park area that will eventually connect through the Rock Garden, which is by our elementary school, and go all the way to Callaway Park. And so we're starting to implement part of the master plan for our park system, and that is one of the components of that was walking trails. And so we're going to do that. We're going to kickstart that at this park, eventually connect them to Callaway, and get people walking with each other, their pets, their children, their spouses, their friends, whoever, and actually have a viable path that if you walk this path, you walk X number of miles, and it'll be purposeful. So we're excited. Most of the money's coming from individual contributions or corporate contributions, whoever we get to step up to the plate. I'm very confident. We raised over $81,000 for a pool last year. We can raise $75,000 for this. I just talked to a neighbor in this area yesterday and assured her we were not building a dog pound. We are building a humane shelter, a center. This shelter, Pam, is going to have an adoption room. It's going to have a separate room for dogs, a separate room for cats. Volunteers will be able to come in, care for them, clean the facility properly, feed them, walk them. And Joey Martin, a local resident who's doing all the design work on the building, who is a neighbor to this park. He lives across the street from the park, has made sure that part of the design of the building is to insulate this for sound. So he's assured me that there will be less sound. If you have a dog at home, your neighbor will be more apt to hear your dog barking than the neighbors of this park will be able to hear however many dogs we have there. Right now, this building is being built to house approximately 30 dogs at any given time and about 35 cats. It's built to be able to be expanded on. If we find our need grows and the community utilizes it, it's built with the idea that we can expand it. And that's my hope, that once people get involved in a functioning humane shelter and the satisfaction that comes from placing animals in good homes and taking care of them and proper care of animals, that this will grow, be much bigger than where we started.
Another question, if I can remember it correctly, there is a viewer that has opened a business in their home and is starting to expand a little more than what they realized. The question was, is there any program or any grants or anything that they can utilize to find a facility that's going to help their business?
Well, first, thank you for opening a business. That's no small feat for any small business owner. It's a scary venture. I know when I started my own personal consulting business, it was a big deal. When you make your own payroll, that's a scary venture. So I'm glad to hear that we have a resident in town opening a business, and they're doing something right because it's growing, and so that's great. The percentage of people employed by small businesses is north of 90% of all people are employed by small businesses. So thank you for doing it here in your hometown. Come talk to us. There are grants available. There's different funds available in the state, federal, in the county. We have a wonderful community foundation in Madison County. We have the incubator at Flagship in Anderson that also is more county focused than they've been in the past. And we're looking to, as we get more involved in our downtown revitalization program, we're looking at ways to incentivize folks to come to our downtown, open a business, hang a shingle on a storefront, open a store, open a restaurant, open a business. And so please come talk to us. Let me know who you are, what your business is, where that fits. Is it something that fits in our downtown? Is it something that fits somewhere else? Let us know what that is. We'll help you. We have folks that help us write grants, that know how to look for them. We'll give you access to all the resources that we have, and we'll do all that we can to provide the right environment for you to grow that business, because if you grow it, you're going to employ more people, and that's what it's all about. We want folks being able to find a job in their town and not driving out of town to go to work. And so please let us know who you are, what your business is, and we'll do all that we can to help you. There are dollars out there, and there are programs and incentives, and so be happy to help them.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much for talking with me today. And Mayor, I will see you next week.
Look forward to it. Thank you, Pam. Again, thank you, ElwoodIndiana.org, for this venue. And Chief Hanna, thanks for joining us this week. Thanks for all that you're doing.
Thank you.
On behalf of the community. And Pam, next week.
Next week. Thank you.
Yeah.